Samhain is an American rock band formed by singer Glenn Danzig in 1983, immediately following his departure from Misfits. Samhain played in more of a death rock and heavy metal-infused style of horror punk than Danzig's previous band. By 1987 Samhain's membership evolved into a new band, Danzig. After briefly reuniting in 1999, and again in 2011 and 2012, Samhain announced their fourth reunion in 2014. Band history: Glenn Danzig originally planned Samhain as a side project with Eerie Von. After his earlier group, the Misfits, contentiously dissolved, Samhain became his full-time band. Samhain is the least celebrated of Danzig's major musical outlets and catalogues a transitional period in his musical career, bridging the gap between the punk rock of the Misfits and the dark, heavy metal and blues-influenced sound of Danzig. Both Samhain and its successor, Danzig, used the same horned skull image originally drawn by artist Michael Golden for the cover of the 1984 comic book The Saga of Crystar No. 8, published by Marvel Comics. The font often used in the name logo of Samhain, and later Danzig, is taken from the film The Giant Gila Monster. Danzig took the name of the band from the ancient Celtic New Year, Samhain, the origin of the modern Halloween. The band's name is typically pronounced Samhain, though when the word occurs in song lyrics, Danzig himself pronounces it Zawin, in conformity with the generally accepted pronunciation of the eponymous ancient holiday. Samhain's lyrics were much darker than those of the Misfits, with themes rooted in paganism and the occult and eventually the horrors of reality, as opposed to the sometimes cartoonish ghouls and ghosts of the Misfits. Samhain's musical style was a dark, gritty, and experimental combination of punk, gothic rock, and on the last album, heavy metal. Samhain released 2 full-length albums and 1 EP during their 3-year career as an active band. Danzig has said that he wrote 2 songs with the intention of using them on the first Samhain album, but instead recorded them with the Misfits for the Earth AD/Wolf's Blood album in order to round out that band's final series of recordings and release a full album. Live shows: sometimes Danzig could be seen donning a bizarre horned leather S&M mask, and occasionally he and his bandmates went on stage covered in blood. Danzig would play guitar on live performances of the song Archangel, freeing his guitarist to instead perform a second bass track. Next band: in 1986, Samhain was signed by Rick Rubin to his Def American label. Rubin at first wished only to sign Danzig. He hoped to assemble a supergroup with a talented vocalist at the center, but Danzig refused to agree to the deal unless bassist Eerie Von could remain in the new group. Rubin and Danzig agreed, however, that the band's sound should be taken in a different direction, and so guitarist Damien was replaced by John Christ. Sometime in 1987, Danzig decided to change the name of Samhain to match his surname, Danzig, a move that would prevent him from ever again having to start anew, regardless of lineup changes. When London May was replaced with Chuck Biscuits, Samhain officially ceased to exist, and the first Danzig lineup was complete. Late album: in 1990, Samhain's final album, Final Descent, was released. Material for the album was completed in stages from 1986 to 1990, with 1 song recorded by the band Danzig, including drummer Chuck Biscuits during the sessions for Danzig 2, Lucifuge. On all other tracks, a drum machine was used. As much of the material for Final Descent was intended for a planned Samhain Grim album, its sound and songwriting bridges the gap between 1986's November Coming Fire and 1988's Danzig. In its first pressings, Final Descent also featured new remixed versions of the then out-of-print Unholy Passion EP. Possibly to avoid potential legal disputes with former guitarist Damien, Danzig had overdubbed re-recorded all of the original guitar tracks with his own guitar playing. He also created a new track, a remix of the bass and vocal tracks from I Am Misery, entitled Misery Tomb. When the Samhain box set was released in 2000, these remixes were given a CD of their own, taking the place of the original Unholy Passion EP, while the back end of Final Descent was filled out with 4 unreleased Samhain Grim-era tracks, all featuring London May on drums. Among these were earlier, more abrasive arrangements of the eventual Danzig classics Twist of Cain, and Possession, a cover of Elvis Presley's Trouble, and a faster version of Lords of the Left Hand. Reunions. Samhain briefly reunited in November 1999 to celebrate the release of the box set. They went on one national tour with the band Danzig headlining. The lineup consisted of Danzig, Zing, May, and then Danzig guitarist Todd Youth. Damien was initially asked to play guitar, but couldn't as he was already on tour with Iggy Pop. In interviews Danzig said that co-founder Eerie Von was not asked to participate because he had slandered former members of the band notwithstanding Von's stand that he wouldn't have taken part in the reunion without Damien. Danzig had since stated that the band would not tour again. Samhain would reunite again in October 2011 and 2012 as part of a series of shows called the Danzig Legacy Performances. The shows consisted of a set from Danzig, Samhain, and a set of Misfits songs with Doyle Wolfgang von Frankenstein. Both London May and Steve Zing were part of this reunion. Samhain reunited for the fourth time to play Riot Fest in September 2014. At that show, he played their debut album Initium in its entirety. The band also played a series of West Coast and East Coast shows from September to November. Peter Adams of the bands Baroness and Valkyrie handled guitar duties. A partial reunion took place in 2014 on the Danzig Legacy TV special during a set of Samhain songs Samhain, and To Walk the Night. The lineup remained the same with London May and Steve Zing sharing bass and drum duties, and with Tommy Victor playing guitar. Musicians, members, Glenn Danzig, vocals, guitar, keyboards, drums, founding member, sole songwriter, and lyricist. Brian Baker, guitar, founding member, formerly of Minor Threat. Played only in rehearsals, but was meant to be a permanent member. Left because he didn't feel his playing was cohesive with the other members. Lyle Prisler, guitar, formerly of Minor Threat, played guitar on 4 tracks on Initium. Scheduling problems and an early difference of opinion over musical direction led to his departure from the band. Steve Zing, drums, bass, founding member. Played drums on Initium and Unholy Passion, also held drum and bass duties for the 1999 tour and the 2011 and 2012 Danzig Legacy shows, 30 Bloody Years of Initium 2014 shows. Played bass and drums for the Danzig 2014 Legacy TV special Samhain songs. Eerie Von, bass, drums, founding member. Played drums in early rehearsals. Pete Damien Marshall, guitar, played guitar on Unholy Passion and November Coming Fire. London May, drums, bass, played drums on November Coming Fire and held drum and bass duties for the 1999 tour and the 2011 and 2012 Danzig Legacy shows, 30 Bloody Years of Initium 2014 shows. Played bass and drums for the Danzig 2014 Legacy TV special Samhain songs. John Christ, guitar, played guitar on side 1 of Final Descent and the mostly unreleased Samhain Grim sessions. Touring musicians, Todd Youth, guitar, played guitar on the 1999 tour. Tommy Victor, guitar, played guitar for the 2011 and 2012 Danzig Legacy shows, also played guitar for the Danzig 2014 Legacy TV special Samhain songs. Peter Adams, guitar, played guitar for the 30 Bloody Years of Initium 2014 shows. Session musicians, Al Pike, bass, formerly of Reagan Youth. Played bass on Initium's Archangel. Chuck Biscuits, drums, never officially a member of Samhain, although he played drums on Death in Its Arms from Final Descent. Discography, Initium, Unholy Passion EP, November Coming Fire, Final Descent, Box Set, Samhain Live 85-86. References, A.B. Gentile, John. Samhain announces more dates. punnews.org. Retrieved July 19, 2014. http www.blankmaninc.com/ Eerie-Von-Interview, A.B. Cipollini, Christian. Glenn Danzig, Horror Business. Penny Blood. Retrieved April 16, 2010. Samhain Live 85-86. Imagine Records. September 5, 2000. Byron Collie and Jimmy Johnson. Samhain interview. Forced Exposure. Retrieved October 3, 2009. Blush, Stephen. Glenn Danzig. Seconds. Retrieved October 24, 2012. http www.usatoday.com/live 20141390625525/ http www.blabbermouth.net's Layer Jane's Addiction Samhain The Offspring to perform entire albums at Chicago's Riot Fest /